Good morning, everyone. My name is Liz, and I'm the principal of Philadelphia Private School. I'd like to welcome you all to the Team Australia presentation today. In today's session, you'll be getting to know who the principals are that made up Team Australia, what the team has gained, examples of our collaboration, and the best practices that we found in Australia.
A very good morning to all of you. I'm Abhilasha Singh, and I'm head of section 4 Noon in New Indian Model School. That's the girls' department.
Hi everyone, my name is Ahmed Azad. I'm Vice Principal, New Indian Model School, Dubai.
Hello everyone, I'm the principal of the kindergarten starters. I'm Asha Alexander.
Good morning, I'm Chitra Sharma, principal of JSS Private School.
Good morning, I'm Aisha here. I'm very sorry to say that my principal, Ms. Sadia, could not make it. I'm here representing her. Apologies on her behalf.
Thank you. As part of the What Works theme for Fusion, we decided to put our logos together on an Australian boomerang. And as you can see, we are all wearing the badge today. The only difference is you'll see butterflies on the boomerang, on the PowerPoint, but the butterflies disappeared when we made the badges. We put this together because we really found that forming our network ended up helping us in getting to know one another, visiting one another's schools, and really opening up the doors to the best practices that we feel we have at the schools. We also felt that this is the beginning of an initiative that we will continue until the end of this year and for the years to come. Now, some of the examples of our collaboration included a day at Philadelphia Private School whereby teachers were able to share the best practices that we have in the infant department and in the science department. We had another beach cleaning campaign organized by kindergarten starters, and that was really for our students to mingle with one another and get to know one another at the same time. A third session took place at Al-Amin Private School on assessment. It was the sharing of good practices. And we had a visit to the Victoria School, as well as the MUN project organized for our students by NIMS. And this is some of the pictures that we took during the collaborative sessions that we had together. And of course, there's the infamous selfie that we ended up having when we were at KH2A during one of our working sessions. Okay, thank you. We will continue with the presentation, and then towards the end of it, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. I have forgotten my specs at home, so in between, please do not mind if I have to see through my sunglasses. It would be weird, but just bear with me. I'm here talking about leadership and well-being. While we were researching, and well, first of all, leaders. You know what I learned when I was a teacher, during my teacher's training, one thing that I clearly remember in one of the papers was, Eton is not known for its building, it's known by its headmaster. And that thing has stayed with me. And then over my years as a teacher and now into a leadership role, I understand that principals of the school, they are the engines of the school. They drive the school forward. Their vision, their direction, their motivation, their enthusiasm, their statesmanship is what cultivates a culture in the school which helps the school to move forward. Therefore, researching on leadership in Australia, our observations are as follows. In Australia, there is a standard for the principals. This standard is about to know, to understand, and to do. This standard also requires school principals to be certified, and recently we've come to know that by 2017, the school principals in Australia are required to complete a certification course which qualifies them to be a principal, and the process has already started. Therefore, by 2017, all school principals should have completed this particular course. I will be speaking on it a little more later on. Now I invite our Vice Principal, Mr. Ahmed Azad, to throw light on leadership more.
So, good morning all. So, leadership is not a title, it's just behavior. So every school principal should live with it and influence others. So in Australia, whenever they want senior leadership, they first find out the best available resource from the school itself, from the middle level. So they develop the leadership capacity within the organization. So they train them and they'll elevate them as a senior leadership. This will enhance their productivity. Now over to Mr. Abhilasha, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. The capacity building, we all of us understand, is important, and therefore the standard and the certification and the courses, there is a tool they're using, which is a 360-degree reflection tool. This tool comes in the form of a package. It helps the leadership to understand their strengths, the opportunities available, work on a feedback system which helps them to put a feedback forward, and also compare themselves to the other leaderships in Australia. Therefore, this 360 reflection tool is available online. It is on the Australian Institute for Teachers and Leadership. If you research on it, if you look for it on Google, you will be able to find it. There's a pack with activities which are for individuals as well as for group. So there are principals as individuals who can use that pack to get to know their strengths and weaknesses, for a feed forward like we would like to call, and also for a group of principals to work together. So therefore, I think we found this very helpful. And there is an e-collection, which is a resource pack which the schools can use. It is not for free, you have to purchase it, but it is a very helpful tool. And moving from leadership, as leaders we understand that well-being is very well connected to learning. There is a wealth of evidence available to show how students who are looked after, who are happy in school, schools which look at the well-being of the students do well. So particularly for New South Wales and then of course the Ministry of Education in Australia, well-being is the focus. And this particular example from New South Wales Ministry of Education, they have a framework for well-being which works on the principles of connect, succeed and thrive. We like to take you through this video.
The thing that I'm most proud of about the new approach is that it really does focus on student voice. It wants to hear from students. It's about how you feel, it's about how they impact on your learning. We need people to understand what wellbeing is, what this new contemporary approach is, and then, really take on board that this is about every child in every school. Every child. This is about the wellbeing of everyone. This is such a dynamic concept. It's open to so many influences from so many settings, and what we're trying to do in school is to say that it's a really important thing for us to be aware of as teachers, because that's about how kids connect, how kids succeed, and whether or not they thrive in the school environment.
So the Tell Them From Me student survey, it's a student voice survey, and it's all about student engagement, student wellbeing, and the links with teaching practice and student achievement. There's quite a lot of research now that says if you're an engaged student, you'll do better. Achievement begets engagement, engagement begets achievement. And one of the things that's fantastic about the Tell Them From Me student survey is that there's kind of something in it for everyone. So students get to have a say, you get to share your thoughts and your experiences. Schools get information about what's going well in the school and what could maybe be improved.
is just that whole notion of student voice. I think that's just so important, and for me important at all levels. So important that you have your voice at school level, important how you get student voice beyond your own school and across a community of schools, but then also how we can roll that up into a better way of having a student voice at state level. Just know that what our future is in just such good hands when we can have a conversation with the young leaders today who are going to be the future leaders of tomorrow and your generation. I just think it's just an amazing group of talented people that we have. So congratulations on your contribution.
So you see, the Wellbeing framework works on the concept of connect, where the students are actively connected, there is good communication happening, and this an environment of support helps them to succeed. And when they succeed, they are again supported, scaffolded, they are empowered, and therefore they thrive in that environment. And this helps in to schools to move forward, for the students to move forward. Thank you, and now I invite Ms. Asha Alexander to take the presentation forward. Thanks.
Following from where my colleague Abhilasha left off, if an environment of well-being is provided and children are thriving and succeeding, it's imperative that we measure that learning. So we decided to look at assessment in the Australian context. What is assessment in Australia? And there were learnings for us when we read about and when we interacted with teachers. We also had to derive practices from their teaching and learning, which we could utilize in our own schools. We found that assessment is integral to the teaching and learning process. It is not something that stands apart or follows teaching and learning. But more importantly, it is not used to judge. It is used to understand the teaching-learning process. And it helps the teacher to change his or her strategies to meet the learner at their point of need. I had the opportunity to travel to Melbourne and visited the Melbourne Grammar School, where a lot of educators from all over Australia were gathering for a conference. And I asked some of them their opinion on how they used assessment in their school. Here's a short video. It's a bit noisy.
So we started talking before about using data. So at the moment we're focusing on using the summative assessment at the end of last year, but actually using it in a formative way. So what that looks like is, for example, with our assessment of reading, we're looking at what that tells us about what the students need to focus on in their reading sessions this year. Okay, so we're analysing it and effectively producing a zone of optimal development of what they need to work on in terms of inferencing or evaluation and different reading skills. And then we're forming small groups in our literacy sessions in order to work on those specific skills. The next focus for us though is writing, and we don't have enough information to work with there, and that's what we're developing now, is think about what we need to assess and what we could use next time, so that we have more information to go on right away at the start of the year. So we've just been talking about like how you record thinking or how you assess thinking, and one of the things we looked at was using a Google Classroom to record students thinking. So if I give them a stimulus, have they noticed something about that stimulus, or were they able to connect it to their own experience or to something beyond that? And that's a way of measuring thinking.
We use standardised assessments at our school in a very thorough way. We use ASA PAT Maths, and we use PAT Reading and PAT Vocab. Apart from that, we also use on-demand testing, and we also are a part of a project through Catholic Education and Melbourne University, and that's called the Literacy Assessment Project. So we use these assessments to target children at their point of need.
Is that helping students learn better?
Oh, definitely. Our results have improved because we use data to drive our teaching.
Okay, thank you. So we brought that learning to our schools, and we decided we must use the data to drive the learning. So we created an assessment tracker. In our school, we are currently using the international benchmark tests, and we wanted to know how our students were faring vis-a-vis the tests. It's not sufficient to run a test or an assessment and not learn from it. So we had to align our curriculum along the strands that were being done in IBT. And we had the meeting expectations, exceeding expectations, working towards expectations, and significantly below expectations. This is just a sample from the tracker that we use. The color codes tell us where that child is. The first column indicates the international benchmark tests that students undertook in 2014-15, and then an entry level, again, which is color-coded, which tells us how that particular individual is progressing in the class. After every assessment, to meet the student at his or her point of need, we give them the next steps. And we were able to see over the year, students were performing much better than before. This is another example. At the bottom of this tracker, this is from English, you will see that every strand is totaled. So SP is spelling in English, and comprehension, and punctuation, grammar, and creative writing and speaking. So we know 19 students are exceeding expectations, 11 meeting, 1 is working towards, and 2 below expectations. The total there is the allocation of marks right across, 3 for spelling, 9 for comprehension, 3 for punctuation, etc., which totals to 30. So there are 20 students exceeding expectations, 10 meeting, and 3 working towards expectations. But individually within that, in English, we understand students are weak, perhaps in spelling and comprehension. So instead of just teaching everything all over again, we have focused and sharpened the kind of teaching, learning, which happens within the class. And this has been hugely beneficial, and this is one way we're using data to drive learning in our school. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I think throughout the year, KHDA had pitched these lighthouses for us, and we all traveled together through various what worked workshops. And it was a great journey for all of us. We learned a lot. There were a lot of discoveries all throughout the year. But above all, we made very good friends. As you all know, the final pit stop for our team was Australia. I, in particular, was asked to research on South Australia. Collaboration is the key to success. So we got in touch with the government of South Australia, which in turn directed us to the Department for Education and Child Development. And we were told that if we are looking for best practices which led to outstanding achievement in PITA, then our answer is the ASMS. Now, what's ASMS? Let's look at that. ASMS is the Australian Science and Mathematics School, which was established in year 2003. It's a school for a specialist school for maths and science, and the whole purpose of establishing the school was to deliver innovative science and maths curriculum to the students. The school was specially chosen by OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Development and Research, about its innovative learning environment. So let's look at the inspiring story of the ASMS. As you can see, the entrance of the building itself captures the mood of the school, which is transforming the way science and maths is delivered in the school. Let's look at the PISA results of the school. If you look at the results of 2006, 2009, and 2012, and if you look at the top 25 best performers composition of Australia, then you would see that the students of ASMS, 46.5% of the students were the top 25% performers of the country. And the same result was sustained or got better in 2009 and 2012. And similar achievements were observed in mathematical literacy, reading literacy, attitude towards enjoyment of science, and science efficacy. So, what worked for ASMS? Like I already told you, the innovative learning environment. Apart from that, this school is located in the same campus as Flinders University. So they had regular visits by the professors of the university, the scientists. They helped them have their professional development program. The curriculum was developed with the help of these professors and scientists. And also, children could have an access to the library of the particular university. I'm going to run you through a short video, and I would want you to be at your attentive best, because post that video, we'll pass the mic across, and we'll take your feedback about what did you observe, which was very different from, or nowadays it's pretty popular, but what were your major observations? And you can also very briefly talk about if you have some similar practices happening in your school as well. It's a short video, and I would look forward to your responses post that.
Welcome to the Australian Science and Maths School. My name's Susan Hyde and I'm the principal. The school is built on the grounds of the Flinders University in South Australia, and it is a partnership between the Department of Education and Children's Services in South Australia and the Flinders University. The Australian Science and Mathematics School is a senior secondary school that enrolls students in Year 10, 11 and 12. We're really looking for students who are interested in independent learning and really passionate about science and maths.
I think the difference to other schools would be like the open learning spaces, like you don't have classrooms.
It's open to enable collaborative learning. It's ICT rich to ensure that learning is connected.
When you first come here, you think, well, this doesn't seem like a school at all.
It's flexible and interactive.
Everyone was just really friendly, so that was really good for first impression.
The responsibility for everything you learn falls back to what you want to achieve.
The learning style that we're aiming for our students is what we call the self-directed learner.
When I came to the school, I didn't really have an idea of what kind of learner I was. I didn't think that there actually was a learning style.
I'm quite a visual learner, like I sort of need to see something to be able to understand it or have like a real world example related to it.
I kind of synthesize information. I think as well it's reflected in my scrapbook grade. The scrapbook is a sort of a collation of all of the terms that we've covered in the course. It serves as sort of a way that a teacher can see how we've learnt things and how we're expressing them and what directions we might be taking.
So I'm sure you must have had a good look. Is the volunteer, could you just pass around? Would somebody like to share what you observed, or you have similar thing in your school as well? You can as well talk about that. Somebody who's interested?
Good morning. I'm Nibal from Al-Ittihad Mamzar School. I observed something that I am keen on having in each and every classroom, which is the open spaces where the kids can learn. It's just breaking out limitations that the children really don't need. And because they're teenagers, specifically at middle school speaking and high school, these kids are really eager to be in open places where they can communicate together and they can socialize. Specifically in countries like Dubai, for example, we know that we all come from different places, and the children are all eager to have more friends and to connect with them. And that's when learning really makes a difference in their lives.
So very true. And that's exactly what the school has done. You know, the adolescents, they have this urgent need to communicate and interact. And the school has used that as an education pathway. So they have very successfully done that. We've seen that. Any other observations you're learning today? Somebody else who would like to share? Apart from it being a very open environment, and open in the sense you could see the light coming in, you could see their glasses across, kids talking, that there are no classrooms as such. Anything else? Any further observations?
Yes, I just want to find out how the classes and the timings are organized.
Sure, we'll talk about that a little later.
Oh, okay.
But your observations first.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Ms. Viji from GEMS, our own Indian school. I felt additional from what she said, that the learning is skill-oriented. The students were proud to say that from stage 1, they discovered that they have specific skills, and they were applying that, like visual learning, similarly, each type. Moreover, I found the assessments were said to be friendly. So students were like enjoying learning, and I think we also apply it in our school. So students really like to come to school, and their attendance is just close to 100.
Very happy to hear that. In fact, this school also has 100% retention. Like none of the student has left the school for the past 5 years. So popular is the way the curriculum is transacted in the school. Yeah, like you rightly said about learning styles, which is another aspect of the school. There are 4 pillars of the school which have really stood strong for it. We've been talking about the learning environment right now, but catering to different learning styles, professional development program, and the learning program as such, which is interdisciplinary. And that's why the need of these commons, so they call it, the areas where all the children sit together. I'm sure you must have seen one child doing independent learning, there's pair learning happening, and there was group learning as well. Any other observations? Come on, we are educators and we are supposed to be very good at observing and keeping track of things.
I'm struck by the fact that clearly students had assumed a significant responsibility for their own learning, and you had a very strong sense of purpose and direction. At the same time, it was clearly also an environment, and you've just addressed opportunities to work together in teams, learn in teams.
Yes.
Students were making their learning very, very visible to one another. And it also appeared from what we heard in the video, the teachers saw themselves as very much assuming a role of mentor and guide and facilitator of learning. So all of those pieces seem to play into creating a learning community in which adults and students are learning together.
Very, very, very rightly summed up by Sir. Yes, the entire setup, if you see, it's for interdisciplinary learning. There are learning commons where children sit down together, they interact. The teacher is not taking the center stage. He's just a bystander, facilitating, a guard. And also, like ma'am rightly asked about how the timing is like, there's a lot of information available on the internet about the school, which you can go through. I can show you the entire learning environment as such in this short video. The teachers themselves, there's nothing called a staff room there. So the staff workspace is an open area arrangement, and lovely snapshots are available there as well. So teachers sit with the students. Since it's a shared environment, like you rightly put, more team effort and team dynamics have to come into picture, because if a particular team is working in a particular space, the other team needs to have a good understanding of that, and how the work is divided, how the targets are divided. Your team spirit, your team dynamics become very strong. To sum up all the responses that I've got, we move on to the next slide. So our learning, and we are talking about the 4 major elements which are involved in the platform for innovation at ASMS. We look at the learning environment first. So in the learning environment, like you all rightly said, and that's what the OECD case study also says, it's very open, very flexible, very interactive. Like I told you, there's something called Learning Commons for interdisciplinary learning, and they have also something called learning studios, where children go and experiment and hone their skills, which they are supposed to acquire during their learning process. They have open plan teacher work area, seminar rooms, meeting rooms, social areas. Also, they have something called home-based personal study desk. So finally, they do go to their tutor group, where they have their own timetable. They have something called innovative virtual classrooms, and there's something called classroom manager in that virtual classroom. So that manager itself manages the timetable of that particular student based on what targets he has set for himself, and which all are the resources which are available. The last observation, which is it's extremely effective as far as ICT integration is concerned. And so the last line, which says learning happens anytime, anywhere. And it's this which is the key feature of the school. It's an innovative learning environment. Apart from that, learning program, which is interdisciplinary, learning styles, and professional learning. Now, when all this comes together, deep learning happens, which leads to innovation and good scores in PISA. So with that, I conclude my presentation, and it's over to Liz to take it further.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions about the presentation as a whole? Okay, no questions? Thank you so much for attending, and a big thank you to Mr. Ian Edgar for his support and guidance. Thank you.